Hey, this is going to be our video series on Big Round Top and also Secrets of the Battlefield. And we're going to start here at the base of Big Round Top in the saddle between Big Round Top and Little Round Top in the distance. And we're going to talk about the original walking pathway. Today when you visit Big Round Top, you park in the Big Round Top parking area and there's a paved winding pathway that leads to the top. But that always wasn't the original walking path. And we're going to start today here at the brigade marker for Colonel Joseph W. Fisher, 5th Corps. And just to the right of this marker is a pathway, and you can see remnants of an old pathway that came up here. At one time, in the 1890s through the early 1900s, a paved pathway and steps actually led up the northern side of Big Round Top. And by the 1940s, the late 1940s, it was no longer feasible to keep that pathway going, and it was torn down. Also, there was a metal observation tower on the top of Big Round Top that extended beyond the trees. And that was also taken down, and we're going to take a look at that. And the shame is that today, a lot of the things that you once seen on Big Round Top, you see no more, including monuments that are along this pathway. It is a steep, tiring pathway, so you have to be able to make it up the side of the mountain here. We're going to do that today. And you can see some more remnants of the steps. Also, as our continuing series on Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, the 20th Maine at Gettysburg, after the fight on July 2nd, 20th Maine moved up to Little Round Top in this direction, where they were here on the evening of the 2nd into the 3rd. Again, more remnants of the pathway. I will also post some pictures I have of the pathway as it appeared in the mid-1900s, as well as the tower. One of the monuments that we pass that's really little known about is for the 118th Pennsylvania, the Corn Exchange. And it sits right over here, right off the pathway. Now, these boulders that are in front of us is actually what we call the Rock of Gibraltar. And this is where the 15th Alabama actually launched their attack on the 20th Maine on July 2nd from this area downward in that direction toward the Round Top. Colonel William Calvin Oates stated that if he could have stayed up here and held this area of Big Round Top, it would have been a position that he would not have had to forfeit at all or lost. And of course, as we end the old pathway, it connects with the modern pathway today right here. So if you walk along the modern pathway from the parking area, you come to these logs, you can actually see the remnant that goes downhill. Let's proceed to the top. As we near the summit of Big Round Top, I do want to point out that it is 777 feet above sea level. Here are monuments to the 119th Regiment of Pennsylvania and also the 20th Maine, which we'll take a look at. There are also Pennsylvania Reserve monuments at the very summit. Now, as I stated earlier, at one time, a 65-foot observation tower once stood at the top here, much like the Longstreet Tower and the Culp's Hill Tower. It was taken down around 1950, but remnants of the tower still exist here today. The four bases. Here's one. There's two. Three. And the fourth one would have rested over here, meaning that I would be standing in the center of the tower, 65 feet above, over the trees, and could get a perfect view of the battlefield. And again, I will post pictures of this area in the 1940s. As I climb over here to this area, and I stand on this boulder right here, right now, I am standing on the highest point in the Gettysburg National Military Park. And for secret to the battlefield, this rock that overlooks the eastern slope, it's filled with rock carvings. And if you look closely, you can see where people, early visitors, like Hinchcliffe, or initials like WB, and it's filled literally with rock carvings all over it. And if you come out here, you can actually dump some water on them and read them. Even today, modern carvings begin to appear. This is one of those little secrets of the battlefield, and it's very dangerous. There's a lot of rocks with cliffs here, and when you stand on the edge, it literally goes straight down. So if you come up here, try not to come up here when it's wet. Also, there are monuments over here, such as this one here, that have handprints in them. when the base was being redone, someone actually left their handprints. So it's not really a rock carving, but it is a handprint. And that is the monument here for the Pennsylvania Reserves. This is the continuation of our Big Round Top tour here, and this again is the 41st Pennsylvania or 41st Pennsylvania Reserves monument that we looked at the handprints. My video camera ran out of time, so I wanted to pick it up here. Over here is the southern overlook, and I like to call this the Kerry Rock. This was a place that's very special to me. A few years back, I was engaged to a lovely female. Her name was Kerry Russell, and she had fibromyalgia. And we posed for a photograph in the wintertime, freezing to death, standing here on this rock. And it was just less than a month later that she passed away. So this is always a special place for me, but it's also a very beautiful view. You can actually see into Emmitsburg, Maryland from here, and then just over here would be the east side of Gettysburg, where you can actually see Hanover. And this whole eastern and southern slope is just boulder after boulder after boulder here. So I call this the Kerry Rock in honor of my ex-fiance who passed away, Kerry Lee Russell. And this has concluded our tour of Big Round Top. Big Round Top is one of the probably least visited spots on the Gettysburg National Military Park, probably in due to the part that the modern trail that did away with the original trail has no monuments leading up to it. And then once you get up here, especially in the summertime, it's hard to see because of the trees, because the tower that once stood here was taken down. So a lot of people say it's a long way to walk for a whole lot of nothing. This has been our tour of Big Round Top and Secrets of the Battlefield here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.